Okay, so remember last time when I said that we were done with key concept 2.2? Well, we're almost done with that. Not quite there, but we are almost there. So here we have just a couple pictures. This is from Persepolis, which was again burned by Alexander, but that is Darius. Um, Here is Xerxes as portrayed in the movie 500, which or 300, sorry, which many of you have seen, about the Persian Wars. So the Persian Wars started because these Greek colonies over here in what's called Ionia were rebelling against the Persian rule. So then the Greeks decided to help defend them, which you can imagine the Persians were pretty angry about. So the Persians decided to invade Greece through modern day Turkey and come on down through the peninsula, as you can see here. But the Greeks, like the Spartans and the Athenians, were able to band together and kick out the Persians. Not once, but twice. And we will review the Persian Wars again when we get to the chapter on Greece, which is chapter 10. So, just a couple of interesting things about the Persians. The importance of the Persian Wars, as you kind of can probably tell from my the way I'm talking about them, they were not really that important to the Persians. To the Greeks, they were this incredible moment of unity, and they were paramount in their history. But to the Persians, not so much. They were kind of just like, we lost to these dudes over on the side of our empire. Oh well. Um, Moving forward in history, the Parthians, one thing I thought was really interesting about them is the reason that they were so amazing is because, mostly because of their um, this HEI thing where they were feeding their horses alfalfa, which made the horses a lot stronger and bigger and able to um, be more effective in battle. Another thing that was interesting is that the Sassanids claimed to rule. They claimed that they were descendants of the Achaemenids or related to the Achaemenids, but also they took on Zoroastrianism as their own and tried to spread that through the empire. Zoroastrianism, as we'll learn, mainly spread on its own, but the Parthians were, or excuse me, the Sassanids were keen on spreading that. And also that it's important to note that a lot of times in Western history, we see the Persians, probably because it's where Iran is now, and Iran is our enemy politically um, today. But the Persians really rivaled the Romans in terms of political organization, economic prosperity. They were pretty amazing for a very long time, and they were doing something that no other empire had ever done before, and it's important to acknowledge that. This is the Parthian capital. It's in modern day Iraq. I pronounce it Sessophone, although I've heard it pronounced several other ways as well. Um, Getting into social classes, which is also a little bit of key concept 2.2, social classes in Persia were pretty complex. There were educated bureaucrats. There were that included tax collectors, record keepers, and translators. These were definitely more urban classes, as well as underneath them were people who were making money through trade, like merchants, artisans, and then through religion, like priests. Priests controlled a lot of land. So both of these classes were based more in cities. And then there's a huge gap between the educated elites and the most people in society who were free citizens, farmers, and then also the Persians did have slaves. Trade in Persia was hugely important. There, it was a very wealthy empire. Here below, you can see all the different trade networks they were connected to. They were a crossroads, as you can tell here. They were connected to Mediterranean trade routes, to trans-Saharan trade routes. They were connected to the Silk Road routes. They were connected to the Indian Ocean Basin routes. They were extremely wealthy and traded in all of these different things. Here's the different areas they traded with. But these are the different things that were traded. Things within the empire, especially, they had supply lines of grain. They were trading textiles like silk and cotton, spices, and linen, like pepper, gold, ivory, lapis lazuli, which is a blue stone. I mean, they just had so many riches. And last but not least, Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism was one of the glues that held the society together, and this relates back to both key concept 1.3 and 2.1. So Zoroastrianism is one of the most ancient religions that is actually still practiced today. Although most people in Iran are Shiite, it is still practiced today in some areas of Iran. It was started by this guy Zarathustra, who was a 7th century thinker, excuse me. He was a philosopher, and his philosophy was carried on by the Magi, which you may recognize if you're Christian from the Bible. They're the ones who come from the east, aka the Persian areas, and these were priests. Um, the texts of Zoroastrianism are the Avestas and the Gathas, and these are where you learn about the philosophy of Zoroastrianism or the religion of Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism has a main god, Ahura Mazda, who is the who is good. Ahura Mazda gave the earth to us as a gift, and he is battling out with a lesser deity, Angara Menu. This would be kind of like God versus the devil in the Old Testament. So there's a power difference there. And their battleground is the universe, and they want your salvation, your soul. So you might be sensing some parallels here to other religions, such as Christianity. The individual has to decide to make the right choice in their salvation. Like I mentioned, this spread through the empire through on its own merits. But it's also interesting that the Sassanids and the Seleucids, who were the empire started by Alexander the Great's general, both became Zoroastrian. They wanted to use it for their authority. And one of the most amazing things about Zoroastrianism is that because probably of the trade and communication going on in Persia, Zoroastrianism has had an incredible influence on Judaism and Christianity and Islam, and vice versa. All of these religions focus on morality, they're all monotheistic in nature, they involve individual choice and also salvation. So I hope you can see from these different parts of the flipped classroom that Zoroastrianism and the Persian Empire in general are incredibly important topics and a great place to start period two. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to fill out the listening checks.